All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Great. Okay, we're going to look first of all at what, I know not everybody's got these turned in yet, but we're going to look at what has been turned in on the restorations from last week. If you've not yet turned yours in, just do so here in the next few days. This is where you're taking a photo that needs restoration and then post a before and after. And so we'll just look at a couple. We'll look at 3 that are up here. And so here's a before. Let me pull this one up. Let me log in, see if I can get bigger resolution. Who did this one, by the way? Was that a smaller picture? No, okay. It must be. Let me log in and see if I can get a big resolution. I didn't think so. They're doing maintenance on the site. What?
Where it says thumbnails enrollment in a rollover, they've noticed that don't mark the images.
No, usually they're doing maintenance, it looks like, on the site, so maybe that's what's causing it. So let's see if I usually have the ability to open it up into bigger. Let's see that. Might be because they're working on the site, but anyway. Looks like there's a maintenance script up here or something. So let's see what we can. Oh.
Hi.
Don't know. All right, I'm gonna see if I can blow this up halfway decent. Won't let me for some reason. They're doing maintenance on the site. Okay. So you might just tell us. I guess cracks, white cracks in the image.
Yeah, it was in wallet, so I had that like smudging
Okay.
over it. A water mark where it like lifted
Okay.
on the side.
All right.
And you couldn't see the color of the flowers anymore.
All right. So let's look at the after. I can already tell, even though I can't see the full resolution of it. It's much cleaner, smoother. What tools did you have to use? Everything?
We used the phone stand a lot.
Uh-huh.
The stairs were really messed up. And I messed with the brightness and
Okay.
contrast.
All right.
The white.
Okay.
And then I had to go in and add colors to the flowers because it's still coming out. So since I knew it would work,
Right.
back on.
Okay. Awesome. Good job. And about how long do you think it took, roughly?
Maybe like half hour, 45 minutes. I used
Okay. All right. Well, good job. Excellent. Who did this photo? Okay. Oh, where'd you end up getting this photo, by the way?
Google.
From Google. Okay.
Just damaged army photos.
Damaged Armory's photo. There you go. Well, it's a good one. You couldn't find any relatives that had any. They had restored all of the family photos, evidently.
Yeah, they
So-
did, like with my mother, I guess, when she was doing her scrapbooking,
Uh-huh.
found all of the photos, they just restored them all, and I was like, but where are the rest? Like, I don't know, they're packed away in box after box. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, this is a good one. So this is, it's got some, wear and tear over the years. And so let's look at the post. So what tools did you use to correct?
A lot of the phone stamps and a lot of the what was the other one? When you take a section of it and you copy it to another area. Like for his shirt, I had to keep the black the same color.
Oh, okay.
in the photo.
Gotcha. And any brightness or leveling or anything?
I
Okay.
brought up the brightness and lower the contrast a little bit to bring it, but the guy more in depth, which is why some they have his face lighter, the other half darker.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that whole style look to it. Then I realized that middle white dot underneath his neck
Yeah.
was actually a button.
Right. Yeah.
So it took me a second to realize, and I was like, wait, that's supposed to be there.
Yeah. All right. Well, good job. And before, who did this one? I think she stepped out.
If you submitted it to that email, it's supposed to go with that.
Yep.
Because I submitted mine
Oh, did you?
before and after. Yeah, but I just.
Let me pull it up here real quick. And I did change.
Okay, I was gonna say that's okay.
Yeah, I did change the email right after class last week and the website. So let me make sure. Let's see. Yeah, it was ChewCon plus restores 15 at Foki.com. That's the one you sent it to?
Yeah.
And you said individual and you attached it
Mhm.
just one at a time? Okay. Well, you just resend them maybe. I noticed they were doing some maintenance on the site, so maybe it has something to do with it. So I just say resend it. Did you do this picture? No. Okay, well, somebody did. Well, here's somebody's picture that's not here tonight. Before, so kind of yellowish, probably, I'm guessing, in the 70s from a clothing style. I'm guessing no. And so let's look at the after. A lot brighter, kind of actually more skin tone in this one. If I go back to the original, so darker here. Looks like an overall brightness on the before and after was done. So if yours didn't show up here, like Robert's, just resend it. And I noticed at the top of the site it says there was some maintenance done today, so maybe it has something to do with it. So I just say resend it. We'll look at it again after break. So you guys, if it's not on here right now, just get it up here before after spring break, which reminds me to tell you, spring break's next week. Awesome, right? Yay! Anybody going anywhere like Florida or spring? No. Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not bad.
I go to the best place of all.
You're going where?
I go to the best place of all.
Where's that?
Home.
Home. Yeah. Well, that's a good place, definitely. Anybody else going anywhere for spring break? No. Okay. Just working, right? Just no school, right? Let's go. That's awesome. Well, take a few days off from school. I know you might have papers or whatever in other classes, and the take home for this class, you'll have a couple weeks to work on, which is Panoramic, which is pretty exciting. And so take off a few days, if nothing else, watch some funny movies. If you've never watched What About Bob, I highly recommend it. Anybody watched What About Bob before? Okay, if you've not watched it, it's an awesome movie to watch. It'll make you laugh. The other movie I recommend, besides What About Bob, is if you're into Microsoft and Apple, those two companies, how they were started, Pirates of Silicon Valley. It has is a story of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, how everything started with those two companies. Pretty interesting story. And yes.
Think of funny movies, but I suggest never watching is My Idiot Brother.
My Idiot Brother. I've seen the previews. Yeah. Now that's the one where, if I'm not mistaken, is it Steve Carell plays in that one? Is he the brother?
Don't even like it. It was so bad.
You don't remember? Okay.
It was like,
So don't watch that one.
it was the poorest humor you would ever see in a movie.
Well, I guess that might have been like Dumb and Dumber 2 evidently was kind of like that as well. Yeah. Even though I did like Dumb and Dumber 1. Do I know? Yeah. Oh, it did. Okay, cool. Awesome. So it must have been a maintenance thing. All right. So panoramic photography is what we're looking at tonight. And let's go get started. So how many's ever taken a panoramic photo with your camera before? Maybe with your phone or whatever, or your digital camera. Well, the way I'm going to teach you how to do this week or these next 2 weeks is the old school way. And we're going to actually use a tool that's online, post photo, after you've taken your photos to create this. We use a tool that's online and also use Photoshop. I'll show you how to do both. But the tool that's online is totally free and it really works well, creates a panoramic photo. But why do you create panoramic photos? I'm glad you asked. When you see before you a wonderful building or an eye-popping scene of some type, you want to get in the whole shot, right? The whole scene. And panoramic fits that niche of the whole scene, where it's too wide for just a normal view finder. And so that's where panoramics come in. A slight problem, it says on the third sentence here, may exist, might be impossible to make further back than you already are with a regular lens. So to resolve it, it's possible for anyone to take several photographs or several shots and merge them together to simulate a wide-angle lens. Another reason to take panoramic photos is the more pictures that are stitched together, the more pixels or more detail are present in the final photograph. The best result from a panoramic photo can be obtained by some simple rules. First is the basic approach. First approach is there's no special camera that you need or software really to get started. You just need a tripod and whatever camera you have with you will work. You want to make sure and go from left to right and overlap your photos about 25% per photo. And so we'll pretend this is your view, your vista, your beautiful view you're looking at. And basically you're going to have a tripod here or lean against something sturdy. And you're going to be taking your photos from this angle. So here's going to be your first shot, we'll say. Second shot, overlap it just a hair, about 25%. Third shot. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. And seventh. So we get 7 shots out of that. So they're all overlapping. Pretty easy, right? You want to make sure, the only big thing you got to make sure is don't move. Don't move the camera location. You can pivot it from left to right, but don't move it this way. Don't go this way with your camera. You can do this type of thing. So if you're standing here, right, you can pivot the camera like that, but you don't want to move it horizontally. Make sense? So tripod's going to work the best for this. I have taken many panoramics without a tripod though, so you can do it as well. You can lean against a tree, against your car, against your partner, whatever, to where you have a steady hand, because that's the main thing. And then is you don't want the camera itself to move vertically up or down at all. So that's why a tripod is going to help if you have one. If you don't, you can do it without one. And so you want to take as many photographs as needed, depending on the width of your shot, remembering that you're going to overlap. You can do a full 360 as well. We're not going to have you do it for this lab, but you could for this take home. For kicks, you can do a 360. They're pretty cool. A friend of mine in college, my master's level, was hired by the school to do a panoramic of the college I went to during university in Springfield, Missouri. And he was a swimmer, and on the weekends he would take photos. And this was back when panoramic websites was becoming real popular, to go to like a building or a college and be able to panoramically view, do a virtual tour of a building or a campus. So he took something like 3,700 photos in total. And what he would do is take his tripod and his Nikon 35 millimeter, and he would go around campus taking succession of photos in a 360 format. and then put them into Flash program and created a panoramic view of the campus. And it was kind of cool because basically you saw the campus when you went to the website, and then you click on like a door and it would bring you into that hallway. And then you click at certain spots in the hallway and keep going down the hallway. You click on a door internally inside the hallway, you go into that classroom, and you could look up, you could look down, and all around. That's how many shots you took throughout. Like in one room, it wasn't uncommon to take 150, 200 shots per room because of this way, and then also vertically and going down to the ground. Do what now? Yeah.
There's that one travel website where you can go to like the Vatican.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But the software is so much more powerful today than it was then. Back then, you had to like hand stitch everything together in Flash for it to work. So it was pretty tedious. But today, like with the software we're going to use in a couple of weeks after we get back to break, super easy to use. Even Photoshop, the stitching mechanism in Photoshop's pretty easy to use as well. But yeah, it's tons of photos for any type of visiting panoramic of a building or visiting a vacation spot, and they do a whole bunch of panoramics like those places do. So what type of software do you need? There's tons of free ones. We're going to use, for the class after break, we're going to use the Auto Stitch program within Photoshop. There is a free program called Auto Stitch, though, that you can download. I don't recommend it. I'll recommend one. In fact, we'll look at it here in a second on the assignment link. But Photoshop Elements and Photoshop has photo merge facility to produce panoramic images. You basically put say you take 7 photos like up here on the board. You put them on a folder on your desktop, those 7 images. You open them up from the program, and out comes a rendered panoramic image, and it stitches them together. Some advanced approaches here, or an advanced approach, besides the process of stitching them together seamlessly. Most imaging softwares allow for creating this panoramic automatically. This shot here actually shows a specific pan and tilt head that you can put on a tripod that makes panoramics really smooth and flowing. It's spring-loaded and pretty expensive. You don't need it, but thought I'd show it to you in here on this article. So regarding composition and framing, basically on the overlapping, all you need to know on this paragraph is the furthest you want to overlap would be like 50%. That would be the furthest you'd want to do. 25 is generally a good rule. And the reason you might want to do more than 25, the only time you'd want to do it, is the longer the panoramic or the wider the panoramic, the more percentage of overlap you want, just to make it for sure that everything's in, you've got all the content of that photo. The other reason you want to overlap further than 25% is if you have like vertical objects within your scene, a lot of them, like telephone poles as an example, or a fence line would be an example, to where you want to make sure you're not, you're not overlapping on a fence line or on a pole or something like that. So that would be a reason for it. Some camera settings for photography on panoramic. Basically, 3 settings you play with during panoramic shots is exposure, focus, and white balance. Okay, exposure, focus, and white balance. As far as an auto setting, landscape would be a good one. If you have a landscape setting, that would actually auto do all of these. But you can do a manual, go into manual mode and do a manual focus, exposure, and white balance yourself. Depending on the time of day, you could use a prefabbed white balance settings in your camera, which I recommend. And then you'll just have to deal with focus and exposure. Now focus, the reason I recommend manual if you have it. If you don't, no big deal. But because you're doing a shot that a lot of times the light gradient will change so much from one end to the other. What I mean by that, if this is a shot of the Rock River at noon, because of the makeup of Rock River and a lot of things that are wider. Over here might be really light. Over here, we'll say over here is like shady. And then maybe over here might be light again. Okay. So if you're to do the white balance auto on this setting, it probably would work pretty good. But if you were going to do a manual white balance, you want to make sure around pictures 4, 5, and 6 to change that white balance to something else to fit that area. Does that make sense? If you want to get the best results, though, in my mind, if it's an outdoor shot around midday, your auto white balance is going to work the best. And just try to pick the most predominant auto white balance that you have in your shot. So if it's predominantly lighter, the pick a white balance is going to help you with that. Exposure. On this one, you can use your plus and minus buttons for your EV value that we went over already to help you with exposure. And that's actually quicker to do than to try to play with white balance. So just hitting the plus and minus button as you get to say 4, 5, and 3, 4, and 5 here would help versus trying to play with white balance on the fly. Does that make sense? So you just kind of have to play with it. It'd be nice if your panoramic was totally the same light from beginning to end, but usually it's not. Usually it's a little variation, all right? Every once in a while you get lucky and it's not the case. So that's all I want to talk about that as far as exposure. And then lenses to use, your normal lens that comes with it. And it does make a mention, this article of a panoramic head that we're not going to talk about, but it's very expensive, made by manufacturers like Manfrotto, Jasper, King, and Nodal Ninja. These are actually panoramic heads for cameras to do just panoramic shots. Now I want to look at, real quick, some panoramics here in the in-class. We're going to look at some examples on the in-class of some panoramics. And while we're looking at them, I want you to think of this question. What is it about panoramic photos that catches your eye? Because that's what you're going to submit tonight at the end of the discussion. What is it about panoramics that catches your eye? And everybody will probably say something a little different. And that's fine. Okay, there's no correct answer. It's just, what is it that catches your eye? So we're going to look at 2 links here. One's a digital photography school link, and the other is a Juniper Images. Juniper Images is a site to, in fact, they've changed it here to Getty Images, so I'm going to have to redo the search. Links change. So I'm just going to type in panoramic. So if you're clicking on that with me, I'm going to do like panoramic city. I like cityscapes, we'll do that. Cool. Getty Images, by the way, is a really cool site to go to get inspiration. It's gettyimages.com. They actually have a thing in here called mood. So whatever mood you're in, you can go and set that, and it'll do like a slideshow of pictures in that mood. Or maybe you're in a crummy mood and you don't want to be in a crummy mood. You can go to Getty Images and get a better mood by watching some cool photos and video. Because they also have not just photos, but they have video and music as well. In fact, I was going to see here, I'll go back to the home page real quick. If they've made any changes to the mood part. Yeah, it's down here at the bottom. See how it says dark and moody, urban cool pop, and these are actually original production scores and royalty-free tracks for music. And creative. What these mean here at the top on creative, rights managed, mean these are going to be paid royalty-free. Means you do have to sign up for an account, but you can use these images in your work, like if you're doing a poster or whatever like that. And they're creative stock photos for unlimited use. So I do recommend creating an account, totally free to create one, and then you can benefit from Getty Images. So I'm going to go back here and search panoramic again. And notice a whole bunch of different searches. I'm just going to do city because I like cityscapes. And we'll look at some panoramic shots here. I'm gonna see here. I'm gonna pick some that looks pretty cool here. I'll put the copyright in there, but that's okay. Okay, so there's a good panoramic there. I'm gonna get a couple of them here so we can look at them side by side. Get another one, maybe this one right here. And right, there's one cityscape. And so let's look at the other one I've got. There's one cityscape here during the day, cityscape at night. So unlike other photos that you've taken so far this semester and maybe ever, is these panoramics take at least, in this case, on both of them, probably anywhere from 15 to 20 images from left to right. It can take as little, though, as probably 8 to 10 images. But again, depending on how much you overlap, depends upon how many photos that are going to be used. So now, after looking at a couple of images, I want to go to this next link, which is Digital Photography School. And this shows us 20 great stitched panoramic examples. And I'm going to blow my screen up here so we can see these a little better. There we go. So this one here is a mist covering a village is the name of this one. Mist covering a village. And so maybe like early morning dew, and the mist is covering the valley of this village. So you get in here, the sky, the land, the mist, some houses, a road, just a whole bunch of cool stuff. The sky's got some pretty colors in it that brings out a lot of texture into the photo. Here's an underwater panoramic, a fisheye panoramic of a library. This is a valley. Actually, on a valley, a little mountainous mound there. Different farming and agriculture and city. One of a mountain range here. And you'll notice, like on this mountain range, you're like, wow, that's really wide, but very short. Okay. And a lot of times on panoramics, that's the case because there are so many photos in succession. And you'll see this when you do your panoramic. You're going to get a lot of width, right? But not much height on the panoramic. Here's the inside. It looks like an apartment flat of a panoramic of Riverside and Cologne. 360 panoramic here. Click on that. And this one basically gives a 360 shot as we go through these. Going out with panoramics on that one. This one here is pretty cool. This is a mosque panoramic, Muslim mosque, and this ground here outside is marble, white marble. Yeah, yeah. Oh, have you? It's awesome. It's an awesome photo. Pretty cool. Really, really beautiful. And I think it's got 7 photos in here. And that's not one of them. Maybe down here. To click on it there. Yeah. It's all right. That's a good one, though. And the next one is Grand Canyon. Never been there. Been by there a couple times, but never stopped. Great shot for panoramic there. Very wide, historical. Then the next is Beijing Olympics, men's triple jump. They did a panoramic in succession in fast motion, took a succession of shots and then stitched together the panoramic of the guy running, jumping, and finally landing. It's pretty awesome. And so a succession panoramic. There's actually a panoramic a student made last semester or semester before of inside of their house, right? And they started on the left side of the house and went to the right side of the house. But in each shot of the panoramic, he was in a different outfit going across, starting with sweats to like a nice suit or something at the end and sitting in different chairs around the house. So you can do that as well. It's an idea. And here's an outdoor panoramic of a wintry getaway, possibly. Nathan Hale Park and Sunset Panoramic. Buenos Aires Panorama. This one here is kind of a wide angle fisheye type of lens panoramic. Wall Finds Art Gallery. Mountainous panoramic here. Bathroom panoramic, like you would see in a real estate site. This is pretty cool. A C5 Galaxy panorama. Look how huge that plane is. That cargo plane is huge. This is World War II Memorial, Washington, D.C. This one here is pretty cool. It's the Audi TT 3.2 Quattro race. Bumper to bumper. So, a few ideas of panoramic, just inspirational for us to look at. So, just looking at the few panoramics we looked at, go ahead and post, if you would, what catches your eye about panoramics. It doesn't, again, have to be earth-shattering comment here. Just something that catches your eye that maybe normal photos do not catch your eye with, but panoramics do. So go ahead and post that in the in-class. And then we're going to take a few moments here and look at some panoramics that were done last semester from Foki, and look at some more tools that we're going to be using to create panoramics as far as post-production. And then we'll be done. Okay. So I know you're still typing your thoughts here. After you get through typing, go ahead and look at the front here and look at some albums from last semester on panoramic shots. So I'll give you another moment or two to submit that.
What site I was looking for is 360cities.net.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That is cool. I like that.
So yeah, so that's all the pictures.
Yeah. And they do have software they use that makes it really awesome to do, really easy to do. And we'll look at one of the software, Robert, that we're going to use in here. And again, it's totally free to use. Doesn't cost anything to do. And you can post it when you're done to like Facebook or Twitter. The link can be you know, shared that way. Let's see if I've got, yes, I think it's this. Is this one or not? Yeah, it's just dermander.com. It's like crazy. It's totally free for Google or whatever. Same thing you were looking at, this Dermander.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about this one is though, it lets you create the panoramics yourself just by clicking the create button. You can upload your images and you can do a 360 view or a wide angle view. And then when you're done, and it has an app and for iOS and also for Droid. So this is one we're going to be using in class. I've looked at a lot of this, one the easiest one to use and really powerful though. Okay, did everybody get a chance to submit your thoughts there? Okay, well let's look at some examples here or of last semester, I believe it was. Anyway, these are some photos of students from last semester, what they've done. So this is looks like down at the by Mississippi and the gardens there, across from there anyway. A few students took panoramics down there. Now on this one, I remember they had, because of this fence line, they did have to overlap this one quite a few times. It took like about 12 photos to do this one because of the fence line. That's a cool one of the Rock River, including the bridge, and you know, it even included they wanted to keep that out, and I said I like the light coming in there from the right side, kind of gave some cool effect, I thought. This was a student's backyard, lived on a farm, and this is where they live, and took a cool panoramic there. Same here, student's neighborhood, took a cool panoramic of that. And you'll notice with panoramic, you would think you would just get the wide effect, but no, this one has some depth in it because you've got this just grass here, but then it goes further back in here, really adds depth, I think, to the panoramic. And that is a trick for panoramic a lot of times is if you put some white space in front of your panoramic of nothing, seemingly, and you have something at the end, far out, it does add a lot of depth to whereas most panoramics don't have depth in and of itself. But by doing this little trick, by just having a lot of your, a lot of the focus of what you're taking a photo of towards the back and the front end is just kind of like filler, it does give some depth to the photo. So that's a little trick you can do. This one here is deep in the forest. Again, they put a little bit of white space over in this area here. This is like a trail area in this area right here. And then here is just woods. Kind of reminds me of Silver City in Branson where we used to take our kids all the time. There's a train ride that goes right in the middle of Silver City. And it's kind of they have like a mock hold up, you know, for kids during the train ride. But the conductor always says to people that, you know, board the train, okay, everybody, look on the left side. What do you see? Trees. Okay, look on the right side. What do you see? More trees. Welcome to the Ozarks. Because all there is trees. Next is their backyard towards a fence line around mid-morning. And don't remember where this one's at. Some park, I believe. But anyway. And just so you know, for if you want, when you go to our Foki site, you can look at other semesters And so I looked at fall, I believe last semester, but you know, we can go back as far as like say, you know, fall 2009, and let's go 2010. There we go. We got some Portrait Spring. So some of these I didn't put any panoramics in. There we go. Fall 2011. Here's a panoramics created 3 years ago. And I like showing these because these are actually student work. Do the stretch mode. There we go. This is, I believe, the park off of, what is it, off Alpine, is that right? Is that correct? The bridge or the dam off Alpine?
Yeah.
Is that right? Going down Alpine before you get to State on the left? I believe that's what that is. I'll just go through these real quick. Just to give you some more. I think the more examples, the better on Panoramic, especially if you've not taken them before. It's really good to look at some examples of what people have done. Now this one's kind of unique because they're standing right in the middle of their house when they take the photo across the street, you know, back a little ways. And the neat thing about this one is, if you can see right here, the curvature, right here, the curvature, that's actually, they didn't think there is no curvature there. And so what it is when you start doing wide panoramics, you actually do see, we get at a wider shot anyway, you stitch them together, you actually do see this curvature of the earth in your panoramics, the natural curvature of the earth if it's a wide enough shot. And you don't see this normally with your eyes because it makes up and fills stuff in, but this is what it looks like all stitched together. Same thing here, just a car down the road. It gives some depth to it. This one actually included a person in the panoramic, which gets a little different panoramic. You don't see it too often, but I thought it was a cool idea. Old Country Road. This one, I'll go back to it. The only trickiness about this one was the telephone pole again. Any vertical, anything you have in panoramics can be tricky. That's a pretty cool one there. Okay, next we're going to look at, on the take-home part, a couple links. I've already looked at the example. Where it says file needed, I won't look at that. The file needed in the take-home. There's some direction I want to give you on this. This file needed, you will not need to do this until we come to class. We will actually do this in class. We'll create a panoramic. We'll take your panoramic images and create a contact sheet from them. Then you'll create your panoramics, and then we'll choose one of the 3 or 2, whatever, how many panoramics you bring, and you'll choose one that you like the best, and that's the one that you'll submit. Yes?
Pretty much a year ago, I bought I got my digital camera, and I went to a convention.
Okay.
And I took a lot of, I tried the panoramic mode, and it failed on me many times.
Okay.
So I actually took like a group of photos.
You have this succession of them still?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bring those.
Okay.
You can
So
use
I'm
those.
actually already working on the edit right now. So.
Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, you can definitely do that. That's fine. Yeah, that'd be great. But I wanted to show you the software app we're going to be using besides Foki before we get into the instructions of what you're going to be doing for your take-home. It's this where it says alternative panoramic creation. The reason I want to show you this one is if you have a Droid or an iOS device, either one, they do have an app in the App Store for this software, and basically allows you to create a panoramic with at least 2 images or more, and then you upload your panoramic. Like the ones you'll be doing for this class will be the wide angle. You won't be doing a 360. So you'd upload all your images into the wide angle, and then it will create the panoramic and then allow you to share those panoramics on social media. So we'll look at a few examples here. In fact, if I click away and go like this, it brings up into full screen mode. So this is actually a 360 panoramic example of what the software can do. Probably, I'm guessing, this one isn't a 360, this is a wide angle, it stops. So that's a wide angle. So that's something it'll do. And you can just use your mouse to collect it or select it. Let's see here, this is the Sp15 Centennial Villages. Wow, that's pretty cool. That one's a 360. Now, okay, I'm gonna stop there. See this right here? See it? See the line? Right there. That's where it was literally overlapped on that line. Right there. But you could use, Photoshop, you go in there and clone. They didn't do this, but you could have went in and, clone stamped it or whatever. But this tool here that I'm showing you doesn't allow you to do that. It'd have to be before you upload it, you'd have to do that. And we'll look at one more here. Corinthian Theater. Looks like this is a wide angle because it stops on the left and right. Okay. And what's cool about it is you can actually, has a world map. And on the world map, it'll actually show you, if we zoom in here, it actually shows people that have submitted their photos anyway for folks to look at. Like here we have some here in Champaign, Naperville. And what these are is actually people that have taken photos with the service and then have shared it with the world, basically, and it puts these little pins where you can basically click on them. I'm not clicking on them because I don't know what they posted. You can click on them when you get home. All right. More than likely they're okay, but you never know. All right. The other thing it allows you to do here is you can share what you've done after you've completed it. You can share your panoramic with the world. You can embed your panoramic in a Facebook page or in your web page as a demand or embed code generator, which is kind of cool. So pretty awesome, right? Totally free, doesn't cost anything. Want to take advantage of it? Demander, and it's in our assignment link. So here's what you're going to do. You have 2 weeks to do it. Next week, spring break. Take a few days off. But I suggest creating 3 separate panoramics. 3 separate panoramics. And the reason you want to do 3 is so you'll have at least one good one out of the 3, hopefully, that you'll like. And it can even be in the same exact area. More than likely, I'd recommend that. So 3 in the same exact area, 3 sets. If you want to do multiples, that's fine. So let's say you ended up doing 6, I don't know, 3 in one area and 3 in another area. You bring all those to class, and you're going to do a panoramic of all 6 of them. We'll say you bring in 6 of them. And after you create the panoramic, by the way the stitching software works, just so it don't freak you out, is whenever you bring them into Photoshop, merge, this is what it'll look like after it's merged. That's basically what it's going to look like. Okay. And then what you're going to do is, what it's done is actually stitch together your photo and cut out stuff here. And what you're going to have to do is come in with the rectangle tool, select a portion of it, and crop it to that area. That makes sense? Then what we'll do is we will resize the image down to 17 inches, because what you're going to be doing is the following week, you're going to take this panoramic. I'm going to print these on my Epson printer and bring them in the following week. You're going to mount these to a blackboard with 3M. In fact, I still have my glue up here. I'm using Krylon spray. So I'm going to show you how to post-production, print out 17-inch by 11-inch. You'll bring in, I'll have you buy, and I'll bring some as well from Michael's, some black frames, and mount them with 3M spray, and be able to take them home and put them on your wall. And so it's something extra for you to do, something I did a lot when I was in a graphic designer, and so creating a lot of post-production work like that. So students always love it. You guys will get a kick out of it, and you'll learn how to create very inexpensive frames for your photos at home too. So anyway, 3 to 6 photo sets of a panoramic shot. Most images will have anywhere from 7 to 10 in number, I'm guessing. If I was to guess, you can have more than that. What's going to determine how many you have those? The overlapping. Okay, and do make sure that your camera stays steady. You're not going to do up or down. Keep it steady, and you're not going to do left or right. Okay, and you can do it standing up. You don't have to have a tripod. I've done multiple standing up just fine. So you're going to bring all those to class, how many sets you have to class, and then in class we're going to create a out of the one that you've selected that you like the best. You're going to create a thumbnail sheet of all those images, and then you're going to submit that as well as submit the finished 17-inch image to your Foki account. I'm trying to think of what else. Any questions so far? Yes.
So we're not actually creating the panoramic.
Not prior to class. No. Not to say you can't use this online tool though and play with it. I would recommend that. It'd be cool to do, right? I would definitely recommend you doing that. Because that you can do at home without Photoshop. But if you already have Photoshop, you can do the photo merge yourself. If you know how to do it. If you don't, you can wait till you come into class. It does have the instructions, by the way, in that file needed, how to do the one in Photoshop. So you can do it prior to coming. I just want to do it together as we sit here, if that makes sense. It won't take that long. And so you'll end up coming up with one that you like the best, submit it. Then the following week, we're going to create the mounted 11 by 17 on black mount board. I'm buying at Michael's, they're like $4 or $5. And I'll email everybody a link to what they look like and all that good stuff. And if you've never been to Michael's, you'll probably love it because it's got a lot of cool stuff for photographers, novice, and light. And they usually have pretty good sales as well. And so I'll try to find, if I find some sales over the break, I'll probably just go ahead and buy some. But anyway, it's a lot of fun to do that. So any questions on your take home? No? Okay. So panoramics, again, 3 different sets minimum. So if you're only taking one shot, take 3 sets of that one shot. Because stuff happens, like say, I don't know, light changes, a bird flies through, which I might be cool kind of. Leaves blow around, whatever. Your camera falls out, whatever happens, stuff happens. So 3 sets usually is going to help and be fine. And then we're going to do old school way. Now, most of your cameras, by the way, even your point and shoot cameras, do have built-in software to do this. They do. But this is a cooler way to do it. This is actually, you can actually say when you're done, I did this from scratch all by myself. Yeah. Yes.
So each set has 7.
At least, and that's that's just a guess, right?
Yeah.
I'm just guessing.
Okay, so if we want 21 photos,
Right, you could have, right, exactly. Yeah, and again, that's just a guess on the width, but most panoramics are going to have anywhere between 7 and 12 photos on the width. Okay, and that's if you're overlapping around 25%. Cool. Make sure when you're overlapping though, here's another tip, and I'll leave it and we'll be done. When you overlap, let's say a telephone pole's right here, or some vertical something's right there. It's fine if you overlap and keep that vertical in the middle of the overlap. Does that make sense? So let me draw this a little nicer than what I've done. So this is literally perfectly 50% in the middle of my overlap. Okay, does that make sense? So that way you've got 2 photos with the full shot of that overlap. Okay, the one that you don't want to do is here's a pole, here's the end of one photo, here's the beginning of one photo. You don't want to do that. Okay, so you want the overlap, and then the vertical whatever is in the middle of that overlap. It could be a fence, it could be a pole, whatever, right? It could be a tree. So, okay, well, if there's no questions, we're done. Have an awesome spring break. Enjoy it. Take time with your family and friends. Watch What About Bob? Do not watch, what was the movie? Do not watch My Idiot Brother. And enjoy it. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. If you have any questions, come see me.
Well, I do have a question.
Yeah, come on. Oh, Yep.
You know, just so.